She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Thanks so much for joining us today. Hey, did you see that video that we posted on Facebook all the way back in December? You're like, Dani, you've posted like a gazillion videos since then. Of course I can't remember. Oh, no. This one actually got a whole lot of like fire and sparks and all kinds of varying different types of opinions. Here on the Dani Johnson Show, we bring you topics every day to challenge you to put your best foot forward. Every day we bring you content to help you define what success means to you at home and at work. So today we're talking about wives being interviewed when their husbands are going for a high-paying job. This video back in December, ABC News had posted a retrospect. I ended up sharing it. I watched the whole thing. I was really intrigued. And it's something I had been talking about for years, about women going to finishing school. And this video actually shows, it's a real life thing that actually happened in those days. Now, check this out. They were attending finishing schools specifically to learning grooming and social skills required to ensure that they didn't impede their husband's career process. Did you hear that? In fact, there was one particular executive that said that there are many candidates that he rejected because of the wife's behavior. She didn't have the social skills. She didn't know how to be an executive's wife. So is there a certain way that a wife of an executive is versus a wife who is a plumber? I mean, her husband's a plumber. Is there a difference? Is this practice still in effect today? I happen to know for a fact that it is, even when a husband is applying for a job that is not a high executive level, but a job where it forces him to be out in the public eye or have some kind of social, he's going to be socially engaging inside of a community. In fact, one was my daughter. Our daughter, Erica, when her husband, Zach, went to apply for the Farm Bureau of Texas, he's an insurance agent, they needed to actually interview Erica, not once, but a couple of times, really getting to know her to see what her feelings were about him being in the kind of role that he was going to be in. So I would love to get your opinion about this because there's a lot of varying opinions about it. Like some people say, hey, no way, that's not right. That's not fair. And or if you're watching this right now, you might be thinking, hey, maybe I should be interviewing the spouses of some of the candidates I'm hiring for in my business. I'll tell you what, I definitely glean in and search out a spouse for some of the roles that I've been hiring for because the spouse really does dictate what happens at home and whether or not the home is a healthy place for that person. If it's a man, for example, working in the company, if she's healthy, then he's healthy. In general, because the two became one flesh. And if she's not healthy, and I'm talking about mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, she's going to have an unhealthy influence on him, and his performance at work is going to be dictated by her mood that morning, which again dictates his performance at work today. And do you realize that everybody on your team, your employees, they have so much to do, if not almost all to do, with helping to build the dream, to build the business, to build the profits. And if they ain't doing good at home, there's a good chance they ain't doing as well as they should be at work. So we wanted to get your opinion on this. We've got Sean Davis from Georgia. Sean, what do you think about this whole idea from back in the 70s? Do you think it's something that we should bring back in today's culture? Even though I know for a fact that just my daughter got interviewed in order for her husband to get hired, do you think that that's overstepping of boundaries? Do you think it's a good concept? What are your comments on that?
No, absolutely. I feel that, God looks at us as one flesh, and we should go back to that for a number of factors. I believe that when we're hiring anybody for a position of authority, there's many things to look at. Is there peace in the relationship? Will the decisions that the spouse make for work come from a place of peace from their relationship? Because we know, when we get out and step out into frustration, that influences our decisions. is a spouse strong enough in their character to allow the other spouse to make a workplace decision, knowing that it might cost both of them a sacrifice. You know, you have to look at characteristics as far as who's going to be strong in that. How do they handle that decision making together? Do they strive together at home to be a good steward with their children, their finances, their goals? That makes a big, huge decision in the workplace, whether they're going to move forward as far as goals at work when those take place. Again, you look at the spouse as being a bigger supporter than the manager or the peers, being able to influence that spouse in making decisions. And then I look at character defects too as well. You know, will that spouse be allow the other spouse to be successful and excellent in integrity and honesty? Is there going to be a character defect with the other one where jealousy might bring that other spouse down? So there's so many different things you have to look at. So I absolutely support it. I think it's a great idea, actually, because you can determine whether your business is going to move forward with that person being an asset to the team, because you're getting two for one.
No
really
question. No, you really, really are. Either that or you're getting two downers. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Sean, are you an employer yourself?
I used to be. Now I still am. I still have a side business that I do at home in marketing. It's going, it's taken off slowly, but I don't have anybody under me right now per se.
Okay. So Sean, when you were a business owner outside of the home, and you employed other people, so did you notice how the spouse had an impact on your employees?
Absolutely.
So give me one example. Give me one example.
So if the other spouse was not content with a decision that we would have to make for overtime, they would step in and say, no, that's not going to happen. You're going to come home. Again, there's that dedication. Or the other spouse might even be an influence on, again, with something that's integrous for that one person to make a decision.
Yeah, but give me an example. Give me an example, because you have real life examples as you employed other people who were married.
Right.
So how did you see, was it men that you employed or was it women that you employed?
It was females and males, but they were quite younger too, in situations where they were either early married or it was their parents. So they were responsible for it's been so long, like decisions from at home where they were not allowed to do extra overtime, like I said, or I really can't think of anything right off the bat that would be a really great example. It's been like over 10 years. Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, that's awesome. It's awesome that you can see, wow, if I would have done that back then, I probably would have had a different experience with my staff. That if I interviewed both parties and got to see what their relationship was like, because it does dictate the performance of whoever it is that you're hiring, no question. Okay, we have Derek Hollenshed from California. Derek, what about you? As a husband, do you think that your wife should be interviewed if you're going for a position in a company?
I would say that the prospect of that makes me feel uncomfortable. I mean, I feel great about my marriage and how she would come off, but I think just from one situation to the next, I would wonder, how does the company make that evaluation? Sort of what's the cutoff, so to speak. And I think it would be all too easy to make it where. If a couple knows that they're being interviewed, they're probably going to, at least be tempted to
be on their best.
Better than they, yes, which is no different than what happens with resumes. So.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same. I mean, people always say much better hire things about themselves than what is real when they're interviewing for a job. They clearly do that. And so, of course, if the wife's being interviewed, she's going to look like the perfect wife. Of course, she's going to do that. But what I found was interesting when I dug deep into that video is that they kind of put the couple in a very social, very casual setting to just see what they did. So it's just a super casual one and to see, like, okay, is she a hostess? Does she dishonor him? Does she interrupt him? You know what I mean? So those were some of the things that they were looking at. Does she know how to honor this man that they are wanting to bring into a leadership role of a company? So does he know how to lead his wife well? Does he shut her down? You know, so I think there's something beneficial to that, for sure. In fact, I got to tell you, Derek, I was recently in a situation where I was in negotiations on a salary with a woman for a position in another organization that I oversee. And it was really, really interesting. Initially, she had told me that her husband was 100% on board. They were going to have to relocate. It's only an hour away, but they were going to relocate here to the Hill Country. Always dreamt about living up here, and that he's 100% in support of it. He works from home, so it's no big deal. And then here it came time for the deal to be done. And now all of a sudden, can I work from home 3 days a week? Then it turns out that she confesses to me that they had an abusive marriage. And so as I began to dig deeper, now we found out that he's saying, no, we're not moving. And yes, you can't work there. You're not going to commute. And we have only one car, and we're borrowing the car from somebody else. That I need you here, and I need you involved with all these other things. And so to be honest with you, when all of that thing unfolded, I took a big, deep breath and said, thank you, Lord. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lord. Because here she knew dead on what the salary was. She knew dead on what the requirements were, and that the job was actually an hour away. And she had that discussion with him. But in the unfolding of it all, as she's coming back going, okay, can I just work from home? Like, no, that's not what this position is. Can I be a contractor of the business? No, we're not hiring contractors. We are looking for someone to be a part of this team. And so as she divulged, that there was some verbal abuse and other types of abuse in the relationship, I literally was like, I feel so bad for this woman. I am praying for this woman. I love the woman. She's got the talent. She's got the skill. However, yeah, the unfolding of what was happening in the marriage, how can I put that person in a leadership role when they are so indecisive and in so much trouble emotionally themselves? They certainly can't lead a team of people if they're indecisive and their emotions are fried. So I didn't interview the husband, but I interviewed the wife enough to find out that there was other stuff. And so fortunately, we both agreed that this was just not a good idea, and it wasn't a good time for her to engage in a business relationship with us. So yeah, companies invest a lot of money into people. And so I agree with you that it is uncomfortable to think, my wife is going to come in for an interview. It's hard enough for you to be in an interview, right? Like, what? I mean, it's hard enough. You know what I mean? Trying to communicate in an interview, and then now having your wife go through that. Yeah, that would be uncomfortable. But I can definitely see the benefits of it, for sure. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Change your habits, change your future. This is the Dani Johnson Show. More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what poverty-stricken families are dealing with in Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic needs of food, clean water, and safe housing. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming Nicaragua. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Nicaragua. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities. And they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage. And I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets.
It's time to take on a whole new mindset. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
There was a time in our country where we had much higher standards. The husbands knew their roles, the wives knew theirs. And they both worked the best they could in excellence and diligence to help that husband have a strong career, to have a great future, for developing a great family. I put out a video many months ago about wives being interviewed in the 70s for their husbands who were going for a position at an executive level, that women were even going to finishing schools to learn how to be a hostess, to learn how to serve, to learn how to communicate at a different level than she was at the playground with her little Oxford shoes and her little socks and playing in the dirt, but that she needed to learn how to communicate in a completely different way on a completely different level. Whether it's right or wrong for the wife to be interviewed, I don't really know, but I can tell you as an employer, I've got some thoughts about it, and I do my best to find out about the spouse. Jarek from California joins me now, and he's got a question about this particular idea and concept. Go ahead, Derek.
Yes. My question is, why did employers get away from the practice of interviewing spouses?
Yeah. What do you think the answer is to that?
Well, I would imagine it could open the door to maybe some sort of liability if they discovered something amiss and didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's possible. You know what I wonder too? I wonder if that it's still happening and they're just not publicizing it. That's a possibility. That people, that corporations are still interviewing the wives. The wives maybe don't know that she's being interviewed, or maybe she does. Maybe that this is still in practice, but no one's making a video about it. You know what I mean? And so, right. and to be honest with you, with social media, it makes it really easy to do that. It does. Makes it really, really easy to do that. All you have to do is, oh, wait, there he is on Facebook, and oh, that's his wife, and let me go read about what she talks about. Right. So let's see if she really is in love. Is she posting pictures of her and her husband? Is she honorable? Is she respectful? Right. So I think that they're still doing it. I think it's just in different ways. And maybe there's not, some big study that's being done on it. So that would be my thoughts. And yeah, I agree that if they find that there's some kind of liability, is the company now liable that they found that information? Thank you so much, Derek, for your comments. I appreciate it tremendously. Thanks for being with us today. So again, wow. Could you imagine, right? Your husband's going for a job or your wife is going for a job and it's a management level or it's a high profile position, or it just is local insurance agent or local real estate agent, and they want to meet the other half. What would you be thinking? You know what? I know of a company that does this, actually. Chick-fil-A. Yes, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, part of their process, not for so much about, I don't know if they do this for the job interview part, but they do it for your franchise. So if you want to buy a franchise, it's really cheap to get a Chick-fil-A franchise. In fact, I think it's like, the last I heard, is $5,000. So $5,000 for a Chick-fil-A franchise, but you go through 2 years of interviewing, and it's the whole family that gets interviewed. They want to make sure that your walk with your God is solid. They want to make sure that your marriage is solid. They want to make sure that your parenting skills are solid. So it's literally a 2-year courting process, 2-year interviewing process to see who you really are. And they really dig deep to find out who you are before they're going to let you represent their brand. So there you go again. I am confident that companies are still using this practice of interviewing the spouse and the family to determine whether or not it's going to be a good match. And so in the case with Chick-fil-A, they got some pretty strong values. And so same with every corporation in America. They got values. They've got a line of a code of ethics that they live by, a set of beliefs that rule their decisions. And if they're bringing somebody in some kind of partnership level, or in the case with Chick-fil-A as a franchise, then they got to make sure that that business is going to be ran with the same value, the same code of ethics. And so if you're a business person, I hope you're learning something right now. I'm, thinking about some things right now. It's really important to know. And social media makes it a little bit easier to kind of figure someone out. So does YouTube, because some people make YouTube videos. So if you're wanting to know, like, okay, is that spouse the supportive one? You know, are the values really strong? Like, are there likeness in those values? Because if there isn't likeness of the values, it's going to be a tearing, and it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, and it's a lot of hurt, and it's a lot of heartache. And so, so I personally think that it's probably a great thing. And I think, honestly, I wish I could go back to a finishing school. I wish it actually even existed. Maybe we should start one. Yes, helping women be women. Because largely, I don't know about you, but my mama, she partied the whole time I was growing up. She's still partying for that matter. I learned how to scrub toilets. I learned how to cuss too. Anyway, this is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, First Steps to Success in Creating Dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in two completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know in my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com. Go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college. And I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling the world, helping people, and having fun doing so, I highly recommend you get registered for the next First Steps to Success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role, and that I had actually taken my husband's, and it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what, we need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Is it right or is it fair for the wives to be under surveillance to determine whether or not her husband should get the job? Man, in today's feminist world, that's like kicking over the beehive, isn't it? Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. You've just tuned into the Dani Johnson Show. This is a show that helps you define for you what success means to you. In 2018, we all have a goal to win and to win big in 2018. And you should have a goal to win too. And the bottom line is if you want your spouse, your husband to make more money, well, friend, you're going to have to join him in this adventure. And whether you realize it or not, you're either helping him make more money or you are hurting him so that he doesn't make more money. I released a video. I actually shared a video on Facebook back in December. And in this particular video, I talked about finishing school for women who were married to men who wanted to become executives, right? And so there's like a certain way, there's a certain etiquette, there's a certain code of values, there's a certain way to talk, there's a certain way to walk, there's a certain level of honor that needs to be displayed. And so check this out. In this video, an office manager was asked by the journalist, do you think wives realize they are on surveillance and that small things in their behavior could disqualify their husbands as candidates? And the journalist responded, if she does not, the office manager responded, if she does not, she is an unwise wife. I remember the woman who actually said it. She is an unwise wife. Wow. In a recent article, Kincaid Search, it's a website that gives executive recruiters advice for filling top positions. They actually give some ideas of some red flags of what to look for. So listen to me, ladies, and listen to me, men, because you might be interviewed and not even realizing that you are under surveillance to determine whether or not your spouse is going to get promoted, whether or not they're going to get that high-paying position. Could have everything to do with you. Here's the list, 11 things that I'm going to give you right now. Number one, they're looking for unhealthy or deteriorating marital relationship. Number two, a controlling or dominant personality, an odd or non-traditional personality, inappropriateness, too much alcohol, talking over people, insensitivity, courtesy issues, bad manners, or severe outspokenness. Number 10, signs she is unsupportive of your candidate in some way. And number 11, extreme religious or political views. Ooh! So, hello, that manifesto is out on the internet right now. So if your spouse is working towards a high-level position, the recruiters are being trained to interview you to find out if you have any of these 11 things, and that could disqualify him from getting that promotion. My daughter, Erica, who's joining me right now, right here in Texas, when her husband went to be interviewed, she also was interviewed, and this was for the Texas Farm Bureau, which actually markets insurance, provides insurance for house, for cars, and life insurance and all that stuff. So Erica, hi, gorgeous.
Hi.
Thanks so much for taking time to call in. Okay, so we're talking about this. I know you saw the video that I had shared with everybody. So you were interviewed. What was that like? Was that scary?
Honestly, I was a little intimidated, but I also knew that it was very necessary.
And tell me why. Like, so when Zach came home and said, "Oh, like you have to be interviewed now," because he went through a long interviewing process.
Yeah, he had about 3 different types of interviews. One with the one that recruited him, and then his boss, and then one with me.
Wow. And so when Zach came home and told you that you had to be interviewed, what went through your head?
I was a little nervous. I was like, wow, that's different. Never really heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a different job that Zach has ever taken on. So.
Yeah. So what were some of the things that they asked you, or tell me, like, give me a picture of what the interview was like?
So his manager came to our house, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of how he would normally present, say, insurance with his customers, but he was kind of doing it with us. But he wanted to ask me a couple questions about my husband, Zach. And so one of the things was, do you think that this would actually be a good job for him? Wow. And he said, be honest. Don't be the supportive wife. Don't give the supportive wife answer. Just be honest. Do you really think that this will be a good position for him? And what I said, absolutely. He needs someone to work for that will keep him accountable. And he will flourish when he has accountability, and he will work as hard as he possibly can to make it happen. And he does really well with numbers and deadlines.
Nice.
And another question that he asked me was, are you okay with him being gone on late nights or on different trips? Will this be a defining factor on your marriage? And I said, I will fully support what he needs to do for this job. And those were one of the 2 big questions that I remember him asking me. And what I firmly believe in is I need to support my husband. And I did believe that he was going to be in a good position, especially working with this amazing boss that had amazing values and moral values, and wanted him to succeed. And just seeing him even asking these questions, a very personal, do you actually think that this will be a good fit for him? Do you think that he will be consistent? Do you think that he's actually good with people? I gave him the honest answers while also honoring my husband, because he was looking for the perfect fit for this job. He wants his people to succeed, and he also told me my job as a manager is to make sure that he flourishes.
Yeah.
So I will be with him on every step of the way. So I really thought that it was necessary, especially just to go through all of the steps to make sure that even just for his own team, that he had a perfect fit.
Yep. Yep. And the wife has so much to do with that, right? Because if you were like nagging at Zach, like, oh, you're gone 2 nights a week, or you have to go on another trip, that doesn't help Zach succeed at all.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I remember you telling me about it. And then when we were producing the show, I'm like, oh my gosh, Erica would be perfect to like explain, like, how were you interviewed? Like, what was that like? And were you kind of nervous that you would say something or do something that would cause him not to get the job?
A little bit, just because I'm cautious of what I say. I don't want to say the wrong thing. But I also knew that the job that he was looking for was going to be a perfect fit. So I was very confident that he would be in a great position. And just even seeing his manager's integrity really gave me more confidence. So I had more confidence in what I was saying.
Right. Right. So that actually built trust between you and the manager.
Yeah.
And that he wanted your honest answer.
Yes.
That's awesome. So did you reveal anything that, wasn't positive about Zach in that interview?
That's a very good question.
Well, you said he needs accountability. That was clear. Like, he needs somebody to be on him, and he'll kill it when he's got accountability. That was a great way to say that. No, it was. That was a great way to say that. That's really awesome. I'm proud of you. I love you. Thank you so much for calling in. You're the best.
I love you too, Mom. Bye, everybody.
You're so awesome. You are so awesome. You need to kiss my grandkids right now. Say hello to Zion, my little Zai and Anthem.
I will.
Okay, I love you.
You too. I love to see your face.
That's awesome. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
Okay.
All right, so there you have it. So it is in practice still to this day. So I just told you about Chick-fil-A. I just told you about a website. So ladies and gentlemen, because there's women in some pretty high management roles. And wow, our husbands absolutely have a major impact on us and how we respond to other people and whether or not we're emotional messes or not. And again, that's not his fault. It's our fault. But the point is that you're being watched. And you need to be aware of the fact that you really are being watched. You really are. And that you really are a contributing factor. Husbands and wives are major contributing factors into the career path, whether or not we get promoted or not, whether or not the business grows. Hear me. We all have a factor in it. In fact, the whole family does. The whole family does. We are emotional beings. And so if there's some emotional instability, it makes the career rock. So if you want to see your spouse succeed well, start looking at yourself and saying, wow, I am an influence in their life. And I do help them to determine whether or not they're going to be promoted, whether or not I believe in them, whether or not I nag them, whether or not I help to edify them, whether or not I even help to promote the brand that they represent. They're working for somebody. That somebody is putting food on the table for them. They're providing an opportunity, right? So if the whole family gets involved with helping to promote that brand, then the husband or the wife who's working there wins. It's really, really a cool thing. That's an interesting strategy. Different way of thinking about it. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Stay right here for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your freedom, your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Hey everybody, my name is Digby and I'm from New South Wales, Australia, and I'm here live at First Steps to Success. I've been to 6 events now, and my journey started with an encore in Brisbane, and after doing 2 encores in Australia, I just really had to come to a live event, so here I am today. And since attending an encore and getting involved, my income has doubled and my family life is just blossoming. So you have to get there. You just have to experience it.
So 4 years ago in July, we showed up to our first Dani Johnson event, our first Steps to Success. And we were completely desperate in every area of our life. At the time, I thought it was just because of our finances, but then I figured out pretty quickly that it was because of my lack of people skills that we were where we were. We sat in the front row. We got fast track, and we sat in the front row right in the center next to some amazing people because we were so hungry, so desperate, so broken, and I pretty much cried through the entire event, honestly. And when she did the War on Debt, which she will show you, this afternoon, I went back immediately and got it. She had just started talking. I heard a couple stories, and I was like, if they can do it, I know we can do it. So we went back and got it and listened to it on the way home in the car, because we drove from Michigan all the way to Missouri. So we listened to it in the car, and when we got home, we immediately got our papers out. We wrote down our plan, and we started applying it. And within 14 months, we paid off over $62,000 worth of debt. We never in a million years thought that was possible. There's so much that has happened in the last 4 years, and I'm the person that wants the results immediately. I don't like the process of getting there. I want to just get there. But I've learned to appreciate the process over the last 4 years and just seeing the transformation that has happened in us. Personally, we individually experience different things, and we experience a lot of things together. I was paying our bills. I was completely disrespectful to my husband and didn't really know how bad it actually was. And so that part of our life is still improving. I can say we're a work in progress. It takes time, and we have grown so much.
We showed up. My wife, I didn't know this at the time, but she was battling thoughts of suicide. I had no idea. I thought I was being a perfectly good husband. I did my best to serve her, be a great guy. But what she needed was somebody who would step up and be a leader in our marriage. That's not who I was. And I was totally emasculated, physically emasculated by, there was someone in our church, the pastor, and so we felt the brokenness of a church, having to leave and just hurt, and devastated. One of the biggest breakthroughs started in our marriage is when Lucy started being a wife to me. And I, as a leader, I should step up, right? Take action first, be the initiator. She did it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different person. And I can tell you, our marriage has just, it's amazing, the difference between her feeling suicidal, me stepping down as a leader, to me taking the initiative and just looking her in the eyes and saying, honey, thank you for allowing me to be your leader. And she just melts every time. This is awesome. So. So let me just tell you this, guys. If you're struggling, or you're broke, you're wondering what your next step is, hey, just take action. Follow those notes that you just took. Take action and do it, because your story is going to be here, and people are going to be inspired by your story. So are y'all ready to take notes? All right, let's do this. Help me welcome Miss Dani Johnson, America's favorite millionaire, to the stage.
The way you look at things is about to change. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
You're being watched, whether you realize it or not. And you have so much to do with how much money the family is going to make. Check this out. The New York Times reported that many companies still vet out the spouses. A candidate for a mid-level position with a Midwestern search firm lost his job offer when his wife came to the site visit. Quote, she was pushy with employees, showing her around town, and bossy on follow-up. He said she wanted better hotel accommodations. It reflected so badly, they rescinded their offer. These things happen all the time. So, friend, are you the one that's causing your spouse not to get a promotion? Are you the one causing your spouse not to get the job? Is what you're writing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, is that helping your spouse be stuck? Takes two. It's a team, and it's teamwork. Is it right or wrong? I don't know. Depends on which perspective you're coming from. So we got Zavia Strong from Arizona. Zavia, beautiful name.
Thank you.
Gorgeous. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I work with sales agents across the country, and one of the things over the years I've noticed was that I can tell which agents are going to be successful in the business or not based on either how I've seen them interact with their spouse when I've seen them in person or how they speak about their spouse when I talk to them on the phone.
Tell me more about that. Interesting.
Yeah, so one of the things I noticed was that if a spouse, and it wasn't gender specific, but if the spouse was unsupportive or demeaning or disrespectful, or sometimes, the agents would comment about the spouse dictating hours or getting upset because of money spent or too much time, all of those things made a difference in how much money they actually made. Mm-hmm. And eventually they ended up just disappearing and I'm assuming getting jobs.
Wow.
However, on the opposite side, when I noticed that spouses were very supportive and respectful, or when an agent spoke very highly of their spouse and never complained about, stuff their spouse was saying, they were the ones that seemed to just be able to reach income levels that they wanted, and they are the ones that have stuck around for years on end. So,
wow. It's amazing, isn't it? It all starts in the home.
Yes, it does.
And sadly, so many men and women don't realize that. And yet they fight about money. They fight about money. They fight about work. They fight, not realizing that they're actually hurting each other's potential to succeed.
Right. I think it also, it has to affect their self-esteem, mm-hmm. Their mindset on being, I would think after a while they'd start questioning whether they're good enough to even do that or
mm-hmm.
so.
Yep. No question. No question at all. Thank you so much, Zavia. That was really, really helpful. And I love that it's firsthand experience. We also have Tanya from Dayton, Ohio. Tanya, what about you?
I worked for a dental firm for many years where we interviewed the doctor extensively with starting out online socially mm-hmm. before they even walked in the door to mm-hmm. see if they would even be a candidate for the main doctor. Just then bringing them into the office, meeting the whole group, then working with them for like a week at a time to see. So it was like a whole romancing of this person mm-hmm. to see if they were going to be a good fit. And then socially, we would invite the husband and the wife. So far, all these doctors were male. Mm-hmm. And eventually, we did hire a couple females and invited their husbands out socially, mm-hmm. where it was more subtle. It wasn't a,
yep.
Hey, we're going to interview mm-hmm. your husband or your wife. Mm-hmm. It was a more subtle approach, and we were observing them to see how they interacted and if it was going to be a good fit for the practice, because there was so much that happened together as a family in our group, because it was a total culture mm-hmm. that we were trying to create.
Mm-hmm.
But then personally, like with my parents, my dad worked for an insurance company for over 30 years, and that back in the day, they would invite my mother to social events. He would win. You go for these big trips and stuff like this in this kind of business that he was in, and they were definitely looking at my mother. Wow. Definitely, what were the other wives, the main manager, the district manager, they were seeing how she would interact and things like that. So I think it's evolved over the years. I think it's still very important. I wish more people would would take that approach.
Yeah.
We own a family business, and we have a few employees.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is more big management level type executives doing this, but man, if we did it on even the blue collar guys, wow, because now that you have somebody employed, and then all these things unfold, and you're like, oh my gosh, would we even have connected with this person?
Yeah, no.
Because of all the stuff that's going on at home, you learn later about finances and how they were not
a match.
Exactly.
Just not a match. So let me ask you a question. So you witnessed this in the dental industry. Tell me of a candidate that the wife lost the guy the opportunity. What was her conduct?
I don't know that we ever had a female lose the opportunity for the candidate. More so, it was the candidate losing it for the candidate.
Tell me why.
How they interacted. They were not. They were more domineering. More didn't play nice with their wife. Let's put it that way. In a social setting, you could see the wow. You're not going to be a good leader with the 20 women that we have working here.
Wow.
You can't treat your spouse any better than that.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. I love this twist right here. Oh my gosh. So, wow. So there you go, men. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So I would draw the same exact conclusion. But I love that you just said what you said, because I asked, okay, how many wives did you see lose the job for the candidate? And it's like, no, it wasn't the wives. It was actually the husbands. It was these dentists applying for a job to be part of the firm who didn't treat his wife right in those social settings, which definitely tells whether or not he could lead other women in the office. Wow.
Right.
So you saw some men that were dentists that were they were rude to their wife? I mean, come on, because there's guys listening. They're watching the show right now. Seriously.
Well, we were in a social setting, maybe had too much alcohol, plus
cutting her off?
And how much, because we took into all aspects, their social media life, their here and now life, and then how they were interacting. And it just, luckily I wasn't the one making the decision.
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, Tanya. This was awesome. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. It's the Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what poverty-stricken families are dealing with in Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic needs of food, clean water, and safe housing. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming Nicaragua. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Nicaragua. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
Helping you become all you were meant to be. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
It takes two to tango, friend. It really does. And if you've ever been in a job interview situation where they're, hey, let's go do something social, just know that that's a strategy and you are being watched. And the fact is you want to gel with the culture. And if it's not in you, if you don't share the same values of the business that you're trying to apply for, then you probably just shouldn't even try. But if you do have those values are going to shine in a social setting to see how you lead your family, how you interact with your spouse and your kids. So man, that was amazing. I learned a lot and I got pretty convicted on that list that I went through a couple segments ago, that list of what right now on the internet, New York Times actually produced, and that recruiting company that they've got a list of 11 things that they look for in the spouse or how the spouses interact with each other. I may, Hans and I have been entrepreneurs. I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. Hans, about the same. He started first when he was 8 years old. But yeah, I think I would have screwed up really bad in a couple of those settings for sure. Yeah, I definitely would have. So I'm really grateful for today's show. Really grateful for the audience who participated and gave their comments about this. But just know it is happening. So this is a good warning. And it's also a good, book her up, friend. It's time to treat our spouse better. It's only going to result in better pay. It's only going to result in more bonuses. It's only going to result in more confidence. It's only going to result in more esteem. It's only going to result in more happiness. All how we treat each other really determines how well we can produce in the marketplace and what value we actually are bringing versus taking from a business. So we can grow if we choose to. Hey, is this your first time joining us? If it is, I got a gift for you. It's called Grooming. It's called First Steps to Wealth. This is a free book. It talks about, it gives the exact same strategies of how I went from homeless to millions, now giving millions and millions away, not taking a salary from our business or even touching the profits, that the profits actually go to the poor. That's, of course, after the responsibility to the IRS and, of course, the team that helps to build. So anyway, we'd love to give you a copy of that. If you dial 866-760-8255. Again, that's 866-760-8255. You can get your free copy now. You pay the shipping to get it to your house, and then we will pay for the $15 book to get out to you. Okay? So, and also, hey, we have a podcast. Love to see you over there. You can download a podcast app on your smartphone, and you can catch the show every day right from your podcast. And or the app, DaniJohnson.com is a Dani Johnson app in your app store as well. You can actually watch the show. It's a television show on cable TV and it's on the radio, but you can listen to it any which way that you want to. Our website has a lot of free materials there for you, plus the archive of hundreds, probably more like 1,000 shows that have been done through the years that are ready and available. If you just want to binge watch on some content to help to improve your life, to help you figure out how you want to live your life, not according to status quo definition of success, but your own personal definition. And you'll be able to figure that out through this program program. So I would love to meet you live one day, and I'd love to meet you on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can find us at Dani Johnson Live on any one of those social media platforms, including YouTube. Subscribe to the page. You'll get notifications whenever we got a show coming up. All right, God bless you. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been The Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.